Bedford, Part 3. Barbara made 13 films between 1927 and 1930 at the end of her silent career. Highlights included the title role in 1927's The Girl from Gay Paris, 1928's Marry the Girl, which saw her top billed, Columbia's 1928 film The Port of Missing Girls, which saw her top billed again, 1929's Smoke Below, which teamed her with Conway Turrell, and 1929's Brothers. Almost all of these later silent films were starring vehicles for Barbara. But when the Talkies arrived, Barbara found herself mostly relegated to supporting roles, with an occasional lead here and there. But of course, she still delivered fantastic performances. Her talkie debut was co-starring with Leatrice Joy and Roland Drew in 1930's The Love Trader for Tiffany Pictures. Why did Barbara go from playing the leads to becoming a supporting character actress from 1929 to 1930? The explanation probably lies in the fact that recently she'd remarried her ex-husband and Last of the Mohicans co-star Alan Roscoe and gave birth to their daughter in 1930. She was off the screen for close to a year for maternity leave. Even though she appeared to have done that earlier in her career, she actually never stopped working. Remember, she always kept working, but was sometimes in independent films, so the major Hollywood news magazines weren't always aware of what she was up to. This time, she was actually absent for a full year while she was on maternity leave. When she returned, the opportunities weren't as numerous as earlier. But Barbara appears to have just been happy to return to work. She appeared in her second talkie in 1930, supporting Marilyn Miller and Lawrence Gray in the musical Sunny, which was an opportunity for Marilyn Miller to recreate one of her most famous stage roles on the screen. Barbara played snooty socialite Margaret Manners, a rival to Marilyn's Sunny for Tom, Lawrence Gray's, affections. Check out Barbara in this clip.
Delighted, I'm sure.
Why not? I mean, I'm glad. This is my fiancée, Miss Manners. You don't say. Well, well. You can pick 'em for me. I mean, that's swell.
Rather nice for Tom's old war buddies to have had this little reunion.
Yes, and the gang's all here, too.
Oh, you're a musician?
Only by accident. I found this lying around. Like Jim. It's a zither.
Well, it doesn't look like a wind instrument.
Oh, no, you don't blow it. You just sort of keep sweeping it off. It's awfully pretty when it's played, isn't it, Tom?
Have you ever heard one, Tom?
Oh, yes, often. Oh, sure. You know why Tom likes zithers?
No, why?
Well, I don't know. That's why I asked you. Well, if you'll excuse...
Per usual, Barbara gives 100% to her building her character. We immediately recognize Margaret as a snooty lady through her mannerisms and her reactions. Her delighted, I'm sure, carries the iciness and sophistication of the character. Following supporting roles in Tall Little David, The Lash, and The Lady from Nowhere, Barbara starred with Buck Jones in 1931's Western Desert Vengeance. She then supported Bela Lugosi and Adrian Ames in The Death Kiss in 1932, before getting her first top-billed starring role since her silent days in 1933's Found Alive. While it was for the Poverty Row studio Ideal Pictures, it was still a star vehicle for Barbara. In it, she played Edith Roberts, the mother of a teenager, played by Maurice Murphy, whom she must help save from danger while they are in the jungle. Check out Barbara in this clip from Found Alive.
Oh, Brooke!
Yes, madam?
Come here. Oh, Brooke, you were right. We must get away from here at once.
I'm glad you've changed your mind, madam. It's the best thing for Master Bobby. Besides, you have nothing to fear from Mr. Roberts. He's forgotten we ever existed.
No, I'm not so sure about that, Brooke. But we should be sufficiently forgotten if we live in Europe.
I'll make arrangements with the natives to help us out of the jungle.
Oh, no, Brooke, you can't do that. Brooke, Bobby had a fight with that native boy over that girl. And you know what that means here. Bobby isn't safe.
As I go to the spring for water, madam, I'll find out what the feeling is. Better keep Master Bobby close to the house.
Her quiet determination to save the life of her son reminds me of her work in so many years earlier in The Last of the Mohicans. It's lovely to see Barbara reprising her role as the heroine, which she effortlessly transferred from ingenue to mother. The film got relatively good notices in Variety. In 1934, Barbara played Miss Booth, the teacher of the spirited young hero, Thomas Hall, played by the child star Dickie Moore in Tomorrow's Youth. Check out Barbara in this clip.
Thomas! Oh, I get hold of you!
Master Hall, You are accused of conduct unbecoming a member of the safety committee and as a gentleman. Have you anything to say for yourself?
Well, Mr. Principal, when you gave me my badge, you made me take an oath to honor my flag, my country, and my school, and to perform my duties diligently. Didn't you?
That's right. But why did you create a disturbance on the school ground?
You said I had to stop fights, didn't you? And I stopped them, didn't I?
Yes, I presume so. But the method you employed scarcely showed the best judgment. If they refused to stop when you commanded, you should have reported to me.
But heck, a real cop wouldn't run away from a fight to tell the sergeant on the beat.
In view of the emergency, I would suggest that Safety Committee Man Hall be commended for zeal in the faithful and courageous performance of his duty.
What I liked about Barbara's work as Miss Booth, again, is her subtle nuances. It takes a few moments for us to realize that Miss Booth actually condones Thomas accidentally squirting her with a hose during recess. She then quietly applauds his efforts while wryly showing her sense of humor. As the past two clips have illustrated, Barbara was making a success at playing teachers and mothers in B-movies, a rather important and necessary niche to fill in so many movies. She filled it again later in 1934 as Dickie Moore's teacher, again in The World Accuses. Take a look.
Don't you ever get tired being with the children? I mean, aren't you glad when the day's over and you can go to a theater or something?
No, Martha, but I think I know what's on your mind. You've got a date.
You don't mind, do you? The fellows know Barrymore. But I get so fed up on this baby talk sometime I'd go to dinner with anybody not in their second childhood.
I almost envy you.
It's interesting to see Barbara as quite a different type of teacher here, a rather jaded one. In 1935, Barbara took on yet another type of character role, the world-weary, seen-it-all, boozy-kept woman in 1935's On Probation. Take a look.
Oh, we'll probably be seeing a lot of each other. You might as well begin now calling me Mabel. Have one?
No, thanks. I suppose it's rather strange for a girl this day and age not to drink, but I tried it once and was ill for days.
I wish it made me sick. Then I might stop.
That is, when I wasn't sent away to summer camp.
Well, I don't blame Mr. Murray for being anxious to see you again. Oh, well, whenever Mr. Murray has anything on his mind, he usually comes to me for advice and consolation.
Well, don't be surprised if I should come to you for some advice myself.
I'd be flattered.
What a performance. It's just incredible to see all the different types of character roles that Barbara began to play in the talkies. As you saw, her character, Mabel, is speaking to her new quote-unquote stepmother. I'm sorry, she's not Mabel. You saw the character of Mabel is speaking to her new quote-unquote stepmother played by... Barbara is playing Mabel, and she's speaking to her new quote-unquote stepdaughter played by Lucille Brown. My apologies. What a conversation. But just when you thought Barbara had transitioned into being mothers, teachers, etc., she made Midnight Phantom later in 1935, in which she played a young, hard-working secretary that is secretly the mistress of the police chief. Take a look.
Well, it can't be done, Chief. Well, you see, there's a lot of correspondence to get out and filing to do. I'll be here till midnight.
Out with it, young lady.
Mother's terribly suspicious.
Of us?
Yes. That gambler, Gus Armstrong, saw us together last night, and he's stirring up trouble.
Huh. Sore because I raided his joint, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry I told you. But I just don't know what to do about Mother. She's furious.
I know I just said this, but it truly is incredible the range that Barbara had, especially in these talkie films. She could really play anything, and it's totally convincing as the lovelorn younger mistress, when she had just been the older stepmother a few films before. The way she pauses between words and avoids eye contact with the chief is just everything. In 1936, Barbara had a final leading role with Conway Turrell in the western Senor Jim, and a memorable supporting role as a reporter in Ring Around the Moon. Stay tuned for Barbara Bedford Part 4 for the clip from Ring Around the Moon.